What time he gonna call?
7:30. All right, let's roll. Two Black, Two Strong, Mega Blast, Asiatic Black in the building. All right, we got a special tonight. We also got somebody. We're gonna have a live guest calling in, but right now I'm going to reintroduce Prison Pep Rally. This is something I did back when the so-called COVID season was running a few years ago. A lot of you all know about the incidences that was going on inside the MDOC prison system. And I got a guest sitting next to me, to my right, by the name of Stephen Harris. And I'm going to let him introduce himself. Stephen, what's going on with you this evening, brother?
Oh man, just taking it one day at a time. Just ready to dive on in and elaborate on what's really going on with this injustice that we're facing.
Okay. All right, let's be brief. Tell the people a little bit about, man, what's really going on with this case.
Well, first and foremost, this brother Numaine Bradley, he was following all the rules and regulations of his supervision regulations and doing everything he's supposed to do by complying with the Department of Corrections and the guidelines and so forth. And then all of a sudden, while he was just, going about his daily routine, he was subjected to criminal charges with no grounds.
Okay. Now, a lot of people know this gentleman. Also, his family members. I want to take time and introduce his mother. She's on the podcast as well. She go by the name of Felicia Bradley. Felicia, introduce yourself to the people.
Well, I'm quite sure a lot of them know me. I'm Numaine's mom, Felicia.
Okay.
I'm here to support my son.
Okay. All right. So for y'all viewers out there, please share this with some people. I'm gonna have Stephen to read a couple of documents. We also present them online. Let you all look at a couple of things. He knows a little bit more about this case than I do. I was brought aware of this situation just a few days ago, but I know the family very well. I know a lot of the friends very well. As a matter of fact, I know Numaine personally and his father. So read some of this stuff that you have here.
Yeah, I'm looking at some research that I created from my investigation, and basically consists of the systemic violations, the collusion, failures of law enforcement, probation agencies, prosecutors, and correctional authorities. Regarding Numaine Bradley, he was subjected to an arrest after he went to visit his probation officer. And in the course of talking to his probation officer, they said that we have a warrant for your arrest, and they took it upon themselves to assume that he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They acted in the capacity as jury and executioner when they didn't have the capacity or the power to do so, and they subjected him to a false arrest.
Mm-hmm.
This without due process. So, it tells me that these officers are not properly trained. And if they are properly trained, then that also tells me that they was just acting gung-ho, which typically means that they was acting above the law, and they will be punished for it.
Okay. Explain to some of the people what due process is.
Well, due process basically consists of when an individual finds himself encountering with law enforcement and they fail to follow protocol, they fail to respect the rights of that individual that they have encountered with, and This is a common thing, and officers mostly feel like people don't know their rights, so they feel the need to violate people's rights. But due process is something that's mandated by higher courts, United States Supreme Court of Washington, D.C. They have mandated what due process is. It is your rights. It is your rights as an American. Anytime you have these encounters, you have the right to not even speak to them. There was a saying that you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you in a court of law. But that's a broad statement, typically meaning that you don't have to speak to them at all. Even if they approach you and there's no crime has been committed, and they just have to follow protocol, because they walk in a very thin line. You can't subject me to all of these crazy things if you don't have probable cause, if you don't have strong grounds to be able to subject that person to that arrest. Articulable suspicion, you have to have probable cause in every situation, no matter what. You can't go off of someone's past. Everybody deserves a second chance, so he was doing everything in his power to follow the rules. So therefore, that puts him, on the right side of the law.
Okay. He was just released, how long ago from his first prison stint?
Well, wasn't it?
He was released on March 21st of 2024.
Okay, so just a little over a year,
Yes.
about 17 months. Okay, so what has he been doing since his release?
He worked for a while at the recycling place on Mill Street.
Okay.
He'll do work with his father from time to time, but he was just trying to get on his feet, was doing what anybody else would be doing when they just been did so many years like that in prison, trying to just get themselves together and stay focused.
Right. Okay. And what exactly happened on the first? What exactly happened?
Well, allegedly, the law enforcement officials said that someone had been a victim of a robbery, a carjacking of some sort, and there was a crime committed by 4 masked men. And common sense tell me initially, if you don't have the identity of these individuals, then how can you just ping a phone or, randomly subject someone to an arrest just because they have a criminal past or whatever?
Okay. All right. Numaine is going to be calling in. As a matter of fact, he's trying to call your phone now, Felicia. So we're gonna let him tell his side of the story here in just a second. But there are other individuals in jail right now.
Yes.
Okay. Currently serving time now for this particular crime.
Correct.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay. So he says he's calling off the tablet.
Yeah. I'm waiting on them to call.
Y'all just give us a second here. We're trying to get Mr. Bradley on the line. But until then, where was this crime allegedly committed at?
Well, for the record, some newly discovered information came to my office, and I reviewed it, and it appears that on the initial report, they said that it happened on Dansby Street here in this city, and then on another report, according to the case manager at the facility, they said that the crime happened on Highway 80 at the motel. So we have 2 different forms of information that, neither one of them is accurate.
So they switched up on you.
Yes.
Explain it. Talk to me.
They also said that in the process of him committing this robbery, he supposed to have took a Honda from someone. But in the process of taking a Honda, how could he take a Honda, but then you also say he was running up Highway 80 from that motel? That motel, he supposed to took a car and ran up Highway 80 to the Jasco store way up at the other end of Highway 80. How is all this possible?
Okay. I'm very interested in hearing from Numaine. So y'all give us a minute. Do you see where he has called you?
I wonder why my phone not ringing.
Is it it's connected to the Bluetooth? So do you see it over there, son?
You want him? He can call me.
Okay.
But he has to be on the Bluetooth in order for
Okay, let me
the listeners to
tell
hear it.
her to call.
Okay, so y'all give us a minute. I'll tell him. I'll just tell him. Disconnect her from the Bluetooth on the board over there, son, and connect mine. I'm gonna just have him to call mine. Okay, I'm gonna connect to it.
Yeah, because she just said he was trying to call me again. I don't know why it's not ringing.
Yeah, he's gonna call mine. I just told him to call mine. All right, connect me via Bluetooth. Huh? I'm fixing to now. Hold on. Y'all give us a second. So read over that. Read some of that, what you have there while we doing this.
Okay. The arrest of Numaine Bradley is emblematic of reckless police work. Just like the reckless police work.
All right, I'm connected, son. Go ahead.
Just like the reckless police work in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, New York, everywhere. It is classified as reckless police work. In this particular situation, these officers subjected him to the arrest on August the 4th of 2025. During the probation meeting, he was taken into custody based on rumors, based on hearsay. And they also based it on an outdated 2024 photograph where he had longer hair. But he had cut that hair, earlier. There was no forensic evidence, no eyewitness identification, or credible proof that exists tying him to the robbery. And arresting someone on these grounds amounts to false arrest and is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. The failures of the Hinds County District Attorney's Office, them trying to pursue a prosecution without credible evidence, ignoring sworn affidavits. There was a sworn affidavit that was given to his public defender, who also turned a blind eye. There was alibis, and this particular conduct, it falls short of their constitutional duty because they all took an oath. They took an oath to uphold the United States Constitution, and they have violated that oath. That's why the family is seeking justice, and so disregarding the affidavit that's already on the record, saying that Numaine had no involvement in this situation, the absence of this type of evidence, and by the district attorney's office having knowledge of this, and they failed to uphold their duty and their oath to uphold the Constitution, that puts them in a hot seat. Additionally, what I would classically call prosecutorial misconduct. And speaking in reference to the rest of the officials that engaged in this false arrest, and trampling on his rights, there's terminology that consists of when a public official, law enforcement, no matter who it is, nobody's above the law, but when they have knowledge of something and they fail to curb it, they fail to rectify the matter, then that subjects them to liability.
And what are the limits of protocol when it comes to a situation like this? What actually can be done is what people gonna want to know.
Well, just like, for example, the exposure, people get engaged, people advocate about the situation, people shedding light on the situation, that helps tremendously. But more so than anything, I'm an individual I don't just talk the talk, and I walk the walk. So so there's paperwork that's already being drafted and implemented to protect his rights. Me operating in a capacity as a legal advocate, this is something that I know I can do per the Constitution, because I know that it's not right, and I'm going to hold them accountable to the full extent of the law.
Okay. And what are you asking from family and friends?
To engage, continue to engage.
Full support.
Full support. Share the work that's being done to get him out of jail. They have no alternative but to grant him his freedom. But the longer they keep him, every day, every minute, every hour, it's a level of liability. And they have to compensate him for everything that he's being subjected to, being snatched away from his family and all of that. And I'm going to see to it. I'm going to play a role, to see that he gets justice by all means.
Let me ask this. Are you at liberty to give any type of information on other people that are involved in this case?
Well, not at liberty at this particular time, but there are others that's innocent, but they've been randomly subjected to an arrest. There are people that's currently held in the county jail, facing this type of situation, and it's very sad. I do have the intentions of reaching out because, if everything, aligns with Numaine getting his freedom, then it will open up doors for other people that had no involvement in the situation.
Okay. Let's talk about a particular person that signed an affidavit stating that he had no involvement in this particular crime.
Yes, there is an affidavit sworn under law by a young lady, and she specifically told the law enforcement officers as well as his public defender, Attorney Treadway, and they still turned a blind eye. So the violations of his rights are being stacked, and I'm keeping up with every violation that's going on with my brother.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Present that affidavit on the screen there. Do you have a copy of the affidavit with you?
Let's see. Yeah, let me see.
Y'all give us a minute. Right now, I want to send a shout out to my one of my sponsors. It's Butter Baby. This is stacked up on the table right here. Make sure y'all give her a holler. She's local right here in Jackson. Let's see if I can get, y'all hold a minute. Let me see if this is Numaine. Hello? Hello? What's going on? All right, hold on a second. All right. I ain't put it on Bluetooth yet. Okay, so y'all hold a second. All right, give me some volume there. Hello?
Hey,
Numaine,
yes, sir.
what's going on?
What's going on?
All right, so you're live on the show right now. Give the public and your family and friends some information on what's going on with you.
Yeah. I'm Numaine Bradley. I got violated for a carjacking and armed robbery charge. They say I was involved with June the 1st, 2025, which I have no knowledge of the whole situation or anything. I went to see my PO. He told me to wait last. He wanted to talk to me. After everybody left, he said he had an outstanding warrant by Capital for carjacking and armed robbery. And he handcuffed me. Capital came and got me and took me on down to Capital Division. They questioned me about some robbery and carjacking. And I tell them, like, I don't know nothing about none of that. You know, like, anybody in the situation or on the charge, I don't know them, never been around them or none of that. And they just charged me with carjacking, armed robbery, threw me in jail. They violated my ERS and sent me back to prison. And they say I was one of the 4 masked men that robbed somebody. And they say I had hair on my head at the time, which I got proof that I had cut my hair way before the situation took place. And I got a female that's on the charge. She wrote a written affidavit statement, said I had nothing to do with the whole situation or anything. And they just gave me a $300,000 bond. And my PO came and picked me up from Raymond, the check seller, and brought me to prison. And I just been sitting still, no preliminary hearing, no nothing. And I got all the proof that I had nothing to do with the whole situation. And it just corrupt.
Okay. All right. Man, and how long have you been locked up now?
I've been locked up exactly since August the 4th.
Okay. Any contact with any attorneys or anything like that?
I had talked to a lawyer named Treeway. And I was in Raymond, but I haven't heard none of it from him since.
Okay. All right. So, do you have any questions for Mr. Bradley?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
For the record, Mr. Bradley, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you was released on early release supervision, that is a requirement that you follow the rules and regulations and so forth. And anytime something transpires that jeopardizes your freedom, according to the protocol and standard operating procedure of the Department of Corrections, isn't it true that the probation officer was supposed to subject you to a disciplinary infraction or RVR, rule violation report? And the question is, did you, in this 40 days that you've been incarcerated, have you been served with a rule violation report, a disciplinary infraction?
No, sir.
Okay. And within that 24 hours, you know, you never received notification, you never had a disciplinary hearing according to due process, is that correct?
Correct.
So that alone is systematic, is systemic. That alone violates due process. It violates the 14th Amendment. It violates every right that you have as an American. And even at a minimum of being on that supervision probation, they still were supposed to grant you some form of hearing on the due process. But even to this day, you have not received no type of hearing, correct?
No, sir.
And you also mentioned that the judge, this municipal court judge, justice court judge, he subjected you to a $300,000 bond. Is that correct?
Correct.
Under the 8th Amendment to the United States Constitution, that is excessive, in fact, illegal. You know, and that's going to be challenged as well. And according to my records, Mr. Bradley, you also communicated with your case manager, and she informed you, in fact, that there was a disciplinary infraction in the computer system, correct? Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, brother. Well, I have an issue with that because that also creates a conflict. Now, how could the disciplinary infraction or the rule violation report, how could that possibly be in the computer system and processed, and you have not been served with a copy according to due process, according to standard operating procedure under MDOC 180101? These are policies that's already been mandated. And you mean to tell me they have a rule violation report in the computer system and you have not received a disciplinary hearing? None of that.
Nothing.
They in violation. That means they are in violation.
Don't worry about that.
Department of Corrections in violation. Everything is, it accounts to a miscarriage of justice. And I'm going to do everything in my power to see that you be granted the second chance to come back to the world so that we can fight and get these charges eradicated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me ask a question of you, man. How are you doing in there? How's your mindset?
My mindset is stable, strong, praying constantly.
Okay.
Understanding myself,
What message would you have for your family and friends?
And this out with my family and friends, man. But y'all just stay focused and keep me out of prayer. And, the truth will prevail. God had a last say so, and I love y'all. Y'all continue to support.
Okay. Felicia, is there anything you would like to say?
I just wanted him to know I love him. And I just want this behind us because I know he didn't do this.
Okay. All right. Well, Numaine, we fighting for you out here, man. We're gonna do everything that we can. You have a way to get in contact with me through your mother. So if there are any messages that you would like for me to put out to my platform, please let her know. She will get in contact with me and let me know. And other than that, I'm gonna work with Mr. Harris here, and we're gonna do whatever we can. I don't know too much about the law, but I guarantee you I'm gonna learn. So I'm here for you, bro.
And I thank you too, man, for having me on your platform. I thank you for the support.
Okay. All right. Did you do me a favor and put the affidavit on screen? Affidavit. I want the public to take a look at that. And read over it if you can. Do you have it on? Do you have the PDF file on your phone?
It's on my computer.
Okay, so the affidavit here says, I, Lashanti
Ashanti.
Esco, am writing this affidavit voluntarily and free of any duress or coercion. I, Lashanti Esco, solemnly swear that Numaine Bradley and Cleveland, I believe, Smiley, was in no way involved or affiliated with the armed robbery / carjacking that occurred on or around 6/1/2025 against DeMarcus Coleman. Numaine Bradley and Cleveland Smiley was not anywhere near me, Lashanti Esco, and did not act as an assailant during these crimes. I willingly attest that Numaine Bradley and LaCleveland Smiley is not innocent, is innocent, and should be freed of all charges. And this is also sealed by a state of Mississippi notary. And I'm not going to give her name at this time. I see that you see it, but I don't want to verbally give out that information.
Okay.
But, okay, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but let me say this. Okay, she also did that, but the lawyer also wanted her to come to his office to redo it in front of him. And she also went to the lawyer's office and did it a second time, raised her right hand and was sworn in front of his people, saying that my son didn't have anything to do with this.
Mr. Harris, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think they're acting like this on this particular case? What motives could they have?
Well, I like to tell people that you never know who your enemies are. You know, even if you change your life and, you know, you walk in a straight line, you still don't know who your enemies are. And I said that to say, well, you know, he could potentially have enemies that are law enforcement. And, you know, that has a lot to do with them violation after violation after violation of his constitutional rights, as if he doesn't deserve any.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to stay on this particular case. Is there any information that the public would need or can use in order to stay on top of this? Number one reason I'm asking this, man, is because a lot of these cases are presented, but they lose energy. They lose wind, they lose energy. Time after time, people behind the bars and in the system, especially MDOC, and I know of, get lost into the system and get their rights violated and certain things. And I don't know the first step to make other than getting in contact with somebody that I don't trust off glass. But somebody like yourself that knows the system, man, and have dealt with situations like this, I really want to work close with you, man, to keep this in the public's face as much as possible. So again, I ask, are there any other things that you can ask of the public, myself, his family, and friends, that can keep this relevant until this man is free?
Well, I would encourage anyone that has a similar situation to Brother Numaine Bradley, being subjected to false arrest, harassment, and having their rights violated, as if they, don't care. I encourage them to come forward, and shed light, because it's very important. If you shed light on similar situations, then that can open up the doors for these public officials to take notice that other people are watching. The nation is watching. The nation is watching.
All right. So are there any closing statements, Ms. Bradley?
I just want my son home.
Okay. All right. All right. Numaine, is there any closing statements by you, sir?
Yeah, no, sir. I'm just gonna stay positive and continue keeping my faith in God, and I shall be free soon.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in, sir. Thank you. Stay in contact.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, sir.
All right. So, do you have any closing statements or any other things that the public may need to know, or I need to know, or Ms. Bradley needs to know?
Yes. My closing statements. The false arrests consist of a Fourth Amendment violation. The Fourth Amendment is basically illegal search and seizure, and that resonates with the United States Constitution on the landmark case, Justain versus Pugh, 420 U.S. 1975, Duckett versus City of Cedar Park, 5th Circuit 1992, Botches versus State, Mississippi 1987, due process under the 14th Amendment, Moresi versus Brewer, United States Supreme Court landmark case, Gagnon versus Scapelli, Supreme Court, United States landmark case 1973, United States versus Turner, 5th Circuit 1984, prosecutorial misconduct, Berger versus United States 1935, Brady versus Maryland 1963, landmark, Cowles versus Whitley, United States Supreme Court landmark 1995, Gibbons versus Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, 5th Circuit 2020, landmark. Excessive bail falls up under the 8th Amendment, Stack versus Boyle 1951, O'Donnell versus Harris County, 5th Circuit 2018, ineffective assistance of counsel, particularly pointing to the public defender that received the affidavit and didn't do anything with it. That is grounded in ineffective assistance of counsel because he failed to represent Numaine Bradley to the best of his ability. Moore versus Johnson, the prayer for relief. I could say for the record that justice will prevail. You know, it may be a little time consuming, but ultimately justice may prevail, and they're gonna have to be held accountable. I yield.
All right. Again, I encourage all family and friends to stay on top of this because once again, we always are faced with things like this. We get discouraged by time and being impatient and other things that we have going on in our lives. So, Ms. Bradley, stay positive. Y'all got my number. Get in contact with me. Again, this is sponsored by It's Butter Baby. As you can see, we got the butters on the table here. So get in contact with me if y'all need some butters for your skin. All right, keep that ashiness off that ass. All right, 2 Black, 2 Strong, Mega Blast, Asiatic Black. Once again, shout out to Numaine Bradley and his family. We will stay on top of this case until this man is free. 2 Black, 2 Strong, Mega Blast, Asiatic Black.